What's happening, y'all? It's Scorpius and welcome back to another Path of Exile 2 guide. Today we're diving into everything you need to know about the endgame in Path of Exile 2, where to begin, what to expect, and what activities are available once the campaign ends. Bear in mind that this guide covers only the content currently available in the game and does not account for any major future updates or changes. So whether you're a brand new player who just wrapped up the campaign or someone who's still unsure about what to do next, this video will walk you through all the essentials. Okay, so you've now finished the campaign and you're staring into the void of what comes next. What is mapping, what is juicing, what content is considered as endgame, and what you should do next. Well, let's begin by saying that even though there are some other pieces of content that can be considered endgame, such as the Trial of Sekhemas and Trial of Chaos, which you probably already did for your ascendancy points, the primary endgame content is mapping. After finishing Act 3 on Cruel difficulty, you will unlock the Atlas of Worlds, or the World Atlas, whatever you want to call it, a gateway system to an infinity of maps. To open the World Atlas, you can click on the map device right here, which is where you end up after you finish the campaign, in your hideout, which is something that we're going to unlock in a little bit, and I'm going to talk to you about that. Or you can simply press U on the keyboard for the map key binding so you can be able to see the endgame tag after Act 3 on Cruel. By doing these maps, you will be able to level up, get better items and currency, fight different mechanics and bosses, and even unlock further content within the endgame. As we mentioned before, apart from Trial of Sekhemas and Trial of Chaos, everything else is tied to mapping through this World Atlas. Now, the way that we do this mapping or these maps is with the Waystones. Waystones start from Tier 1 and go all the way to Tier 16. From Tier 1 to Tier 15, you can find it on the ground while you're progressing through the mapping, and Tier 16 can be crafted with Val Orbs. You simply need to click on the map of your choice and add a Waystone that you can handle. This will create a portal to that specific map, and once you complete all objectives within the map, it will complete it, and only then will you be able to path to the next maps that are connected to that one that you just completed. If you die within the map, then you will simply be able to revive and rejoin the map as long as you have the portal still open. The ones that turn green are the ones that you've completed. The ones that are light blue are the ones that you are connected to, and the plain ones are the ones that you're not connected to at the moment. Each waystone you add in your maps will decide the level of the zone as well as the positives and negatives of that map. Tier 1 starts at zone level 65 and goes all the way to level 79 for Tier 15. Just like you've been using Orb of Augmentation, Transmutation, Regal Orbs, and Exalted Orbs to craft some pieces throughout the campaign, you can do the exact same thing for your Waystones. Some modifiers can be positive, which are usually what we call the prefixes, which are the modifiers at the top, but you can also add negative modifiers, which we call suffixes. We will cover the best and most efficient ways to juice up your maps in another video, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that one out. But bear in mind that the more modifiers that you add on a Waystone, the less portals you will open at the start, which means that the less times you're going to be able to re-enter that map if you die. These portals are only consumed if you've died in the maps. They don't get consumed if you want to travel in and out of the map intentionally. Now, the fun part about all of this pathing from map to map is that you can encounter multiple different things in here. For example, one of the first things that you should be focusing on doing once you finish the campaign is finding the Nexus of Corruption. These Nexuses are the main way that we will be getting our points for our Atlas tree. Before it gets too complicated, imagine it like this. Your character has his own talent tree, and the endgame content has its own talent tree. This tree will empower your endgame maps, making them more beneficial. And each Nexus you do, based on the quest requirements you will get, will give you 5 points. So the first 30 points of the Atlas tree come from these Nexuses. If you need help on how to unlock all 90 points and how to spend them, then these videos will help you out. Doriani, who's the boss that you just defeated, will give you the first of 6 quests to go find and cleanse the Nexuses. These are all located in corrupted areas that look like this, and when you path towards them and defeat the Nexus boss, you'll get your points it will become cleansed and it's gonna look like this. The quest requirement is to look for these nexuses throughout the world atlas and complete them each in a higher tier. These nexuses can be spotted as a red circle within the fog of war. This way, you'll know where to path towards. Finding and completing all nexuses to unlock the first 30 points in the Atlas tree is the first recommended thing that you should do once you finish the campaign, because those 30 points will make our maps better and more beneficial. Now, you might notice that some maps have little icons on them. The majority of those icons are what we call the mechanics of the maps. Irradiated, for example, makes the entire zone and the map gain +1 levels. Therefore, the monsters that you face will be 1 level higher than the default of the Waystone that you used. So as we said before, the zone level of a tier 1 Waystone is at 65. If you use that same Waystone on an irradiated map with this icon, it will become level 66. This icon simply means that there is a boss in the map. You can either skip everything else and simply go to the boss to complete the map, or do all the other side objectives too, such as killing all the rares. Bosses usually guarantee a Waystone of a higher tier than the one that you currently used. So you definitely want to look for the map bosses so you can sustain and progress with your Waystone tiers. Breach is one of the most fun and rewarding mechanics in the maps. You will find a purple hand which looks like this, which will cause an expanding circle to grow, which will then constantly spawn different monsters that you need to kill. The more monsters and rares you kill that spawn from the breach itself, the longer it will stay active. Eventually though, it will suddenly shrink and close, finishing the mechanic and rewarding you with breach splinters. Collecting 300 of these splinters will create a breach stone, which can be used to fight one of the many pinnacle bosses. Xesht is the breach boss who is found in the Twisted Domain. This can only be accessed if you have a breach stone, which can be used in the Realm Gate. This Realm Gate is found on your World Atlas just like anything else, just above the Burning Monolith, which is where we started off our maps. To fight Xesht, you will need to trigger the clasped hand within the domain and then fight your way towards the boss without missing out on any of the monsters if you can, as they actually add more seconds to the timer. Reaching the end of the path will drop a lot of decent loot, including items like the Catalyst, which are used for crafting, some gear pieces, currency, and most importantly, breach rings, which if you have some luck with your crafting can potentially become some of the best rings in the game. Once you collect your loot, you can then step forward and challenge Xesht to a fight. The Delirium mechanic is somewhat similar to the Breach mechanic in the sense that you want to collect 300 splinters to form a Simulacrum, which you will then use at the same Realm Gate to encounter the second pinnacle content called Simulacrum. Instead of fighting a boss on this one, you will fight 15 waves of some very tough monsters, rares, and mini bosses. The goal here is to survive each wave all the way up to wave 15 without dying. In between each wave, you might get some good loot, and the higher you get, the better it becomes. To get yourself these splinters, you need to do the Delirium mechanic, which looks like this on your maps. Once you enter the mirror, it will create a thick fog and spawn random monsters through the glasses on the floor. The goal is to kill as many of these monsters as you can, because this mechanic is also timed. You will also notice that on the bottom left side of your screen, you will be building up some items. These items are called Distilled emotions, and they're most commonly used for juicing up your maps, as well as being able to add a notable passive skill from our tree to our amulet. Just to simplify this, for example, Overwhelming Strike here is a really good node for a lot of builds, but it's pretty far away from where most of those builds path to. By holding onto the Alt key, we can see which emotions are needed to anoint this node onto our amulet. When you have these emotions, you simply need to right click on them and add them into your amulet in the same priority they are written under the passive node. These distilled emotions can be found by doing the Delirium maps and can also drop from completing each of the 15 waves of the Simulacrum that we saw before. You will also encounter the ritual mechanic, which looks like this. A map with this icon will contain 3 or 4 rituals randomly spread across the map. Upon clicking on a ritual, it will limit the entire map to that specific area until you defeat all the monsters that spawn. Each kill is going to reward you with tribute points. You can usually find out how much you have on the bottom of the screen. When you successfully kill everything that spawned from the ritual, you will then be able to click one more time on it. This time, it's going to open a window with some goodies. Here you can find gear pieces, basic and valued currency, as well as omens, which can be used for combat and crafting. Additionally to all of this, you can find a rare item called Audience with the King, which you will again use at the Realm Gate to fight the King of the Mist. All the items in the ritual window cost tribute, so the more rituals you clear within that one map, the more tribute you will accumulate. If there is nothing interesting in that window, you can always re-roll to test your luck again. Now, the tribute you gain and the items you find through the ritual window are only relevant to that specific map. Running another ritual map after this one will reset the tribute to 0 and will show you different items, unless you learn how to defer the items that are of interest to you. Deferring an item or multiple items at the time will cost you a small amount of tribute and will lock those items in place, which will guarantee that the items you locked in place will reappear again at some point. It could be the next reroll or the next ritual map you run. Think of it as giving a small deposit up front so you can purchase the item at another time for less. And here's a nice tip. Even if you have enough tribute to purchase an item, it's better to defer it first so you can be able to reroll, potentially finding another valuable item which you can also defer. Each time you reroll will let you defer the same items, reducing their price further. Lastly, if an item you previously deferred becomes red, that means that you either need to purchase it now or defer it again because it's gonna expire. The last icon that's considered as a map mechanic is the expedition. When you find the expedition in your map, you will notice that you have 5 explosives on you displayed at the bottom of the screen. You will want to place each explosive on top of the strong boxes that you see. The trick here is to try landing the green circle onto as many strong boxes as you can throughout that area. Each bomb has a specific range, and as you will notice, each strong box has a different modifier, so you will need to strategize accordingly. Once you're happy with your placement, you can detonate all your bombs, which will spawn the monsters from each of the strong boxes that you just exploded. The expedition mechanic will give you some very specific currency that you can use for the recombination feature or use at the expedition vendors. Additionally, it can also drop logbooks. You can give these books to Danik, the NPC, to take you to one of the expedition isles. Within these isles, you will repeat the same principle like before for a chance of getting some good loot, experience, and much more. Running logbooks above level 79 though has a chance of spawning the expedition boss, which when defeated can have some valuable loot and can provide you with the points that you need for your Atlas tree. Now, apart from the mechanic icons that we just covered on your maps, you might see other stuff like the Wandering Trader icon, which is a plain map that you will simply find a vendor who might sell some valuable and rare items. You can also find the hideouts icon, which is how you unlock the hideouts in the game. To unlock one, you simply need to run that map with this icon and defeat all the monsters in it. You can then speak with Alva and choose your newly unlocked hideout. To access it, go to a waypoint and you can fast travel to your own hideout from there. Hideouts can be edited and decorated as much as you want. The next icon is this one, which are the unique maps. These are rare maps that you definitely want to either bookmark for later or run them immediately. There are multiple different kind of unique maps. Some provide you insane boost in XP, others provide you a ton of gold. But just like the name suggests, there are unique maps that are a ton of fun to run, but also pretty mandatory in the beginning as they award you with 10 points for your Atlas tree progression. And the last two icons are the corrupted and cleansed maps, which simply indicate what that area is affected by. Corrupted areas are usually the ones that have a Nexus in them, and if a map is corrupted, it means the killing monsters in it has a chance to revive those monsters again and again, which provides you with extra loot and experience. Once you finish the Nexus, then the corrupted area will become cleansed. This area doesn't spawn extra monsters like the previous one, but has a chance of dropping a valuable currency for crafting called Fracturing Orb. Both of these icons are super important to look for as they might include the +1 to monster levels modifier, which is needed to run higher end maps later on. Apart from maps with different icons and nexuses that you can cleanse, there are two more very important things that you can find in the World Atlas: the towers and the citadels. Towers can be considered as maps since they can have different mechanics on them, and you can start their encounter by adding a waystone on them. Their objective, however, is to find the precursor and activate it at the end of the tower. When you complete a tower, you can then click it again so you can add up to 3 tablets on them, which will affect surrounding maps with different modifiers depending on what you're focusing on. These tablet items represent the different mechanics that we covered up till now, such as rituals, breach, boss, Irradiated, Expeditions, and Delirium tablets. Each tablet can have up to 2 modifiers on it, and they're found throughout your mapping, most commonly from its respected mechanic. The amount of tablets you add to your towers after you've completed them depends on the waystone that you started the tower on. The higher the tier and the more modifiers you add to the waystone, the more tablet slots you will be able to unlock upon completion. Towers are super important, and they're one of the main ways that you juice up your map difficulty and potential for better loot and more experience. The Citadels, which are the second most important thing that I mentioned, can also be found in the World Atlas. There are 3 Citadels overall: the Iron, the Copper, and the Stone. Each one represents a different act from the campaign, with each act's final boss as the main boss of the Citadel. For example, the Iron Citadel represents Act 1 with Count Geonor as the main boss, the Copper Citadel represents Act 2 with Jamanra as the main boss, and the Stone Citadel represents Act 3 with Doriani as the main boss. Finding and completing these Citadels might prove a little bit difficult at the beginning, as they are intended to be done a little bit further in the endgame. To find them, you simply need to path through multiple maps within your World Atlas and open up as much of the Fog of War as you can. You will then start finding different colored beams within the fog that represent these citadels. The Iron Citadel has a white bluish beam, the Copper Citadel has an orange beam, and the Stone Citadel has a red one. When you find one, you want to path to it and successfully kill the last boss for a guaranteed drop of a fragment. Getting all 3 fragments from all 3 citadels will allow you to go face to face with the hardest uber boss in the game at the moment, the Arbiter. The way you get to him is by going into the Burning Monolith and providing the wall with all 3 citadel fragments. This guide might have been a bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I tried being as thorough and simple as possible. Hopefully this will help you out. If it did, then like the video and consider subscribing to the channel for more guides like this one. If you have any questions about this or the game in general, leave a comment down below or join me live over on Twitch. All relevant links can be found in the description. Thank you all for watching, and as always, I'm gonna see you guys on the next one. Peace.